This is a SnapEd New York video presentation.
Hi, I'm Geraldine, and I'm a SNAP educator with the SNAP Education program at City Harvest. Today, we're gonna make 3 delicious recipes using beans. By the end of this lesson, you will understand the health benefits of incorporating beans and legumes into your daily food regimen. Let's try plant-based proteins like legumes, beans, or tofu for lower cost healthy protein. We can use the My Plate diagram to help us identify healthy food items and recipes that fall into the 5 food groups: fruits, vegetables, grains, proteins, and dairy. The amount of vegetables we need to consume depends on our age, sex, and level of physical activity. Typically, adults should consume at least 2.5 cups of vegetables per day. When preparing our plates, we should aim to fill half of our plates with fruits and vegetables. Before I get started, I want to talk about dried beans. For this recipe, we're going to use canned beans, but if you are using dried beans, you will typically soak them overnight and simmer them for an hour. So let's get started. The 2 main ingredients for today's first recipe are beans and pineapples. These fall into the fruit and vegetable categories of My Plate. Beans are also a great source of plant protein, so they can also be considered a vegetarian option within the protein food group. So let's start by chopping our fresh fruit. You can use pineapple, mango, peach, or papaya for this recipe, but today we're going to use pineapple. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the crown. So we're going to twist and pull out. After you remove the crown, you could always flip your pineapple upside down so the sweetness of the fruit distributes throughout. So you have an equally sweet pineapple. So let's get started by chopping our pineapple. I am going to use a serrated knife. It's easier when chopping big things like a pineapple. So we're going to remove the top and the bottom. And we're going to go ahead and remove the sides of the pineapple. I love pineapple. It's one of my favorite tropical fruits. It has so many benefits. And as a kid, I used to love having pineapple juice. Usually, after I finish cutting my pineapple, I like to boil the core and I like to boil the skin of the pineapple to make tea. It's actually really refreshing during the summer. We're going to remove the dark eyes and cut out the core of our pineapple. Typically, you will slice or dice your pineapple. We want to make sure we always put it on a flat surface so we don't have things that are unstable on our board. For this recipe, we're going to dice our pineapple. For this first recipe, we're going to use black beans. Attempt to buy low sodium or no sodium added canned beans. Also, draining and rinsing your canned beans can reduce up to 40% of the sodium content. So as you can see in these 2 cans, the regular sodium has 15% and the lower sodium has 6%. We're going to chop the rest of the ingredients. I'm going to start with my onion. So we're going to go ahead and cut in half. Make a flat surface. Remove the top. After I chop my onion, I'm going to chop my jalapeno. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to make it a flat surface. For the jalapeno not to be as spicy, we are going to remove the center and remove the seeds. Typically, what makes it spicy, among other peppers, is actually the seeds. I'm going to go ahead and cut my lime in half and mix all of our ingredients in a bowl. We're now going to add some cilantro. When using fresh herbs, I like to kind of roll them and pack them there. It makes it a lot easier for chopping. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to chop a little bit of my cilantro to put in my salsa. Fresh herbs add a lot of flavor without adding any fat or sodium. So we're now going to go ahead and season our salsa with some fresh squeezed lime. We're going to add a pinch of salt and fresh pepper. I love fresh pepper. This salsa goes really well with whole grain tortilla chips or plantain chips. Even by itself, this salsa could also go really well with fish. I love it with a piece of salmon. For our second recipe, we're going to use white beans. We will be making a white bean dip. This is one of my favorite recipes. So for this recipe, we're going to use half a can of low sodium white beans. You could also rinse your beans, as I said before. Then we're going to rough chop a bunch of fresh cilantro. You could save the stems for later if you want to make broth. And we're going to crush and rough chop a clove of garlic. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is all going to go in the blender. We're going to use about 1/4 cup of low sodium veggie broth. You could also make your own broth by saving the scraps, boiling down, and you could actually save it in your fridge for a couple of days, 2 to 3 days, or you could always freeze it for later use. So we're now going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of cumin, a pinch of paprika, the juice of a medium lime, about a tablespoon of olive oil, and we could always add our pinch of salt and pepper. Now, when it comes to pepper, for this particular recipes, I like using white pepper so I don't see the black spots of the black pepper in my recipe. And now this recipe is ready to blend. So once you're finished blending, you could always garnish this with a little bit of chopped cilantro and a little bit of paprika. Paprika is one of my favorites. Do you actually know that paprika comes from sweet bell peppers? It's so amazing, it's a great spice. Our last recipe is a complete meal. We're going to be making a white bean and escarole pasta dish. For this recipe, you will need a 1/2 box of pasta cooked to the box direction. You could always get brown rice pasta, quinoa pasta, or any other kind of pasta that is non-wheat. You will also need a minced garlic clove, a chopped garlic clove, a sliced garlic clove, a bunch of escarole, 1/2 can of diced or crushed tomatoes, the white beans, rinse and drain, and a tablespoon of olive oil. You could also add Parmesan cheese. It's an optional thing. Combining different vegetables like beans and leafy greens is a great way to eat a rainbow of vegetables. Different colored veggies offer different nutritional benefits. So now we're going to chop our escarole. Eating a diet rich in leafy greens can offer numerous health benefits, including reducing the risk of obesity, heart disease, and high blood pressure. For this recipe, we're going to heat the oil over medium in a pot or a skillet. We're going to go ahead and add our garlic. And we're going to saute for a few seconds. And then we're going to go ahead and add our mixture of escarole. We're going to saute the escarole for about 2 to 3 minutes or until wilted. We're now going to add our diced or crushed tomatoes and our beans And we're going to simmer until the mixture is heated through and liquid is slightly reduced. We're now going to season it with salt and pepper to taste. And we're going to add in our pasta. Let's toss this to incorporate everything. And if you ever feel that your pasta is a little dry, while draining, reserving a little bit of the pasta water, it's always helpful. So let's add a little bit of pasta water to our pasta dish. Our pasta is ready. We're going to now serve it. It smells so good. And this is really nutritious. So now we have a couple of components from different food groups. We have a grain, we have a protein, which is our bean, and we have a vegetable, which is our escarole, which is a leafy green. We're gonna top it with some Parmesan cheese. And this is ready to eat. All of these recipes count towards the adult daily goal of about 5 ounces of protein per day. Remember, focus on your pattern of eating, not just about making healthy choices sometimes. Research shows long-term healthy eating habits have the greatest positive impact on our health. Thank you so much for joining me today as we learn about the 5 food groups that are the building blocks for a healthy diet and how to prepare healthy recipes using beans. Let's make every bite count. Thank you. See you next time.
Thank you for joining us today. We know the healthy choice isn't always the easiest choice, but small changes can make a big difference. Start today by getting involved with SNAP Ed New York. This program is free for those who qualify or receive SNAP benefits. We want to help you save time, save money, and eat healthy. Learn how SNAP Ed can make a difference in your life. For more information and to find your local program, visit snapedny.org. This material was funded by USDA's Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. SNAP. This institution is an equal opportunity provider.